Hi, this is Press Play by Evie. What is that excuse or justification? Yeah. Who is that person or that situation that you have acknowledged in your life as being the reason as to why you have not accomplished a goal, a milestone in your life? This comes down to the narratives that we tell about ourselves and about others at an individual level and at a collective level. Just take 5-year cycles, phases of your life up until the age that you currently are. So if you are 30, then that means you have 6 cycles, 6 phases to look into and analyze. And why this is important is you begin to do a self-study. You are able to look at your situation from a different perspective because the 30-year-old you has had some experiences that the 20-year-old you did not. And as such, their perspective has shifted. The hope would be that it has shifted to a more profound, objective, while still acknowledging your subjectives, broad, wide, more accepting, graceful perspective. But then again, that may not be the case because depending on what you've gone through, it could either lock you up or open you up. And I say this not from a place of judgment, but from a place of understanding. Where are you right now at 30? How did you view your life at 5, at 10, 15? And how did you view yourself and the characters, situations around you at that point? And this is so important because you then begin to understand your individual narrative and understand the gaps in your narrative, regardless of what they may be, good or bad or neutral. They will illuminate a light and help you process things, accept them, grow from them, and move on. Not only that, you will also be able to tell a more clear story, more informed story as part of a collective. Because our individual stories also begin to tie into the collective being our families, our friends, our associates. And then they extend beyond that to our country, which is, if you think about it, perhaps a bigger dynamic family. And even could go to our ethnicities, and then our country, and then whatever continent you belong to, and so on, and the world globally. And whatever narrative you have of yourself, I promise you, if you look outward, you will see this narrative existing around you with close associates, close family members, close friends, extending a bit further to those who are not in your inner circle, you will still find this narrative. Never underestimate the value of your narrative. In this case, we're using it as a tool to further unearth our thoughts and our perspectives at that age, how we viewed our life and how we view it now from an outside view, where we're not living that reality on a day-to-day. We have sort of moved away. So it's a reflection of your past and present, because once you get to your final 5-year phase where you currently are now, you're also able to take a microscope and have a look from a place of trying to understand, fill in the gaps of your narrative, correct or tweak, add meat to it in cases where your perspective was very linear when you were experiencing it or are experiencing it. Learn, grow from it, integrate it, because then there is a future version of yourself, the next 5-year cycle. I will be grateful for all this inner work that you have taken to do. And not only your future self, all the characters that you will have in your next phase will also be influenced by the stories, the understanding of the stories of yourself and others, and therefore they will add not only value to you, to your past, present, and future, but also to the collective, the different collective groups that we have discussed. And what happens externally is a reflection of your internal state. Before anything ever happens outward, it begins inward. If you have heard of a Bible verse that says, "From the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh," because it starts from within before you can externalize it. If you've also followed or heard of people talking about manifestation, anything that manifests into the external began inside. So this goes to show you the value of truly being present and aware of yourself. Of what is happening inside? What are my triggers and why do they trigger me in this way? And how can I move, accept them, embrace them, thank them, and move on so that I'm not stuck, but do it with a lot of love and grace and care for myself. And that is where the alibi comes into place for each cycle, each phase, to help illuminate a light into the narratives that you tell of yourself and of others. And this is of such great service to yourself first and to the collective. All the small collective groups that you identify with. And what parallel have you seen to the life that you lead? Even how they shape the decisions that you make. To fully be aware and present within yourself and begin to see the narrative that you want to tell of yourself start taking shape, being manifested into what you actually want for yourself, because you have already done the inner work, and now every other hope, dream that is good for you, that you've always wanted, has space to begin coming into fruition inside, in your heart, in your soul, in your mind, as it moves outward. that the abundance of your heart, when you speak, people can see the narrative that already has been formed internally. The new narrative that you want to be your reality, that already begins to brew inside. This is part of the process. That your manifestation, when people say it outward, will be from an understanding that it already had manifested inward. That richness in mind, in heart, in soul, in emotion, in finances, every form of abundance or richness or wealth, even in health, already began inside, and now it's just pushing forward on the outside for others to see. And as that happens, look around you and see how the narrative of the collective, the various collectives around you, begins to also reflect your individual reality. That's not to mean that everybody around you will accept, embrace, or just think, look, be exactly like you. What it means is you begin to notice that the people you meet day to day begin to fit into your narrative. When your narrative is a positive one of joy, wealth, and by wealth I mean of health, of mind, of soul, of body, of finances, every sort that you could possibly think of, every good thing, that your environment, your landscape, the characters within it shift to meet you at the point of your narrative. And now everybody is a supporting character helping you accomplish that. And in the same way, if you have a negative narrative, every character, landscape, environment begins to shift to validate that. And that is why it's so important to be present, aware, to work through the different phases, to acknowledge them, accept them, release them, and move on and see them from a better, higher narrative, from a narrative of what story would I want to tell my children when they're older, my grandchildren, or just close friends. And am I living that story? Did I drop it along the way? Did something taint my vision? Did I grow scared? And be okay with that, being caring and gentle and graceful with yourself, and start seeing that shift happen. Thank you so much. Have a good day.